All right, all right, all right. Okay, let me make sure I should have done this from the beginning, but all right. Okay, y'all know I don't sleep. I was going to try and lie down, but was watching videos while I was laying down. Y'all know I made my other folder, like today's topic folder. Apparently Sable wants to say hello. Come here. Sitting at my feet, just being a pain in the butt, wanting to play fetch. Gosh, she's so huge. Only like a year old, but freaking huge. Anyway, yes, hello. As I said, y'all know I don't sleep. I was trying to sleep, but whatever. I want to thank one of my friends. My friends who they know I love The Mandalorian, so they got me this shirt, which I freaking love, you know. And then a friend as a birthday present, which just recently passed, got me, as a matter of fact, hold on. Let me go get him. I know. I don't ever prepare for anything, but I actually like that. I like that I don't prepare for anything. But yeah, one of my friends got me this little Grogu. Love this little thing. Oh man, I really love this little thing. So he'll end up being my co-host kind of thing. It's probably going to end up talking every so often. Actually, we move you over because you're actually much louder than. Yeah, my cats always freak out about this thing. The cats are just stare. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Should do a video dedicated to that as far as what I was about. Anyway, I don't like use names, but L, thank you for the Grogu. I love it. I'm redoing my entire house, like the entire house. So I've had friends who have lived with me, like my brother, lived with me for a while. But he moved, bought a whole bunch of acres, up in Oklahoma and everything. And they tried to get me to move up there for a while, but I've just got a lot of stuff going on. Plus a lot of health shit. But so I'm redoing my entire house because there's nobody actually living with me anymore as far as, the guest room. I have a friend that y'all know. Every so often you hear her voice, or she's helped or talked about some topics and stuff, that's been my friend, employee, and caretaker when I've been laid up. So I want to thank her for everything that she's done. But I have my the one of the rooms is empty. It's empty. Well, it's not empty now, but empty as far as anybody living there. So I'm making that this is my house, my castle, my house. Do whatever the fuck I want. It's my house. So obviously I'm not going to have a setup like this in my new office I am an ordained minister, and I own a business which I really can't even fully operate anymore because I was forced into retirement because of disability reasons. But it's still it's still a company, still do private parties, events, a lot of police and church events and stuff. Love those. But so it's my office, project room. It's a dedicated space, and it'll be for streaming. I do have a Twitch, so it's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be. I've done as a hobby, but as I said, since I've been forced into retirement and everything, I'm going to be traveling a lot. Hopefully, I'll stream while I'm out traveling. But so with the office, I can't wait to show it. It's still, took a lot of yelling and whatever just to get my damn desk back in there, because I got a big desk, and so I had to move it back in there, which was a pain in the butt without taking it fully apart. Still moving a lot of furniture and things around the house. I can't wait. But getting that room set up to be my full-time office and streaming and all of that, can't wait for y'all to see it. It's not going to be with my big ass, screen projector and all that. I always talk about, it's like I got one of the biggest TVs in El Paso because it's my entire wall. And a friend of mine's like, well, mine's like 155 inches. But then again, I think where his wall is on his house is bigger. So, but I plan on getting bigger once I expand my house. That's another project I got hopefully coming up here in the next year or so. But that's not the point. Anyway, make sure that this thing doesn't shut off. Anyway, can't wait for y'all. I got to figure out how I'm going to set up my office. But I can't wait for y'all to see it. So anyway, let's get into this. I know I keep getting distracted and stuff. As I said, I don't sleep. So, my mind is still sharp, but gets off track. Anyway, so I'm going to try and do multiple videos today. I got to go meet with friends for lunch later today. So I'll try and lay down at least for a little while. Anyway, so what this is video, I'm going to go ahead and do these two videos. Illegal arrest lawsuits. Officer sued twice for unlawful conduct, and officer fired. $75,000 lawsuit. First one is audit the audit. Link is in the description below. And lackluster is the other channel for this. Y'all know every time I always get people, Mark, you're always picking on the cops and stuff. I'm like, dude, I have friends and family that are police officers, but they're good cops. They're good ones. They're not the ones who do this kind of dumb shit. The ones who are like the Gestapo, kind of stuff. They're good cops. This is the stuff I get pissed about. I'm not trying to pick on police as a whole. No, I'm picking on the bad ones that literally should be fired. I don't care about the whole thin blue line and the brothers and sisterhood and all this other stuff. If you are a bad cop, male or female, it doesn't matter. This is not the job for you. You should quit. Because you need to be held to a higher standard because of the fact that you carry a freaking gun. I mean, I carry my gun, but I'm just a citizen. I'm not a person with a badge running around, trying to arrest people. So, as I said, corrupt cops I cannot stand. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get into the first one from Audit the Audit. I really, I love these channels. I love the fact that they do all the work and everything else and stuff. I can't say I'm profiting off of it. So if anybody wants to try and say that, oh, you're just profiting off of what they are doing, remember, I'm not doing this to be monetized. I don't care. I truly don't care to be monetized. I'm a disabled veteran living off my disability. So I really don't give a shit about being monetized. I just as a lot of people I follow, there are a lot of streamers that just talk. That's all they care about. You know, they don't care about the whole monetization and all that. No, we just want to get a message out. So I do try to think every time, whether now I'm putting the links in the description below, but I have always given props to the people who actually do the videos and everything, all the work that goes into it. Anyway, let's go. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you go to check out
Audit the Audits, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers trespassing, officer conduct, and obstruction of justice, and is brought to us by OKC Vet HPA's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. On March 22nd, 2019, Oklahoma City-based insurance adjuster Kenneth Grants was parked outside of a home on Summer Valley Road in Blanchard, Oklahoma, awaiting assistance to conduct an inspection of the home's roof. Upon arrival, Mr. Grants contacted a neighbor who had been instructed by the homeowner to allow Mr. Grants to enter the property. Mr. Grants had been parked for approximately 15 minutes when he was contacted by Officer Haynes of the Blanchard Police Department.
How's it going, man? You live over here, or what you doing over here? Well, I have people calling on you. Something illegal? Well, no, they're just calling on you saying that there's a truck in the area. My duty to check and see if you live over here or what's going on. Okay. All right. You working?
Now, I've been in this exact situation. I was with a friend, actually a couple of them. I was with a friend. She wanted to talk. She was just real pissed off about, because she still lived at home. She was an adult, still lived at home. And she was real pissed off about her dad she just wanted to vent. And of course, we didn't want to sit outside her house because her dad was a complete dick and everything. And, so we were parked down the street, just down the street in the same neighborhood. And a cop comes over sometime later because a woman who lived where we were parked was across the street, and it's nothing but an open field here and I think the railroad track. And then there's houses on this side. Well, get approached by a cop because apparently one of the neighbors came home, and my friend even said, I wonder if she's going to end up calling the cops because we're sitting here. That's all we're doing, sitting here. Sure enough, cop pulls up a little bit later and was like, well, what are you doing here? And it's like, we're just sitting here. And the friend even said, look, I live at the corner house up the street. The officer goes, well, why aren't you over there? And she even goes, it's none of your damn business. We're on a public street. Are we doing anything wrong? Well, no, but it's like, but somebody called us at somebody. No, we know it was the lady over here. She called. And, well, it's just, suspicion and whatever. Suspicion is not a crime. It's like, I understand you trying to do your job. Well, do you have ID on you? Yes, I do. May I see it? No. I love when people always want to argue, and this is going to be in a few videos today, where people always want to argue about showing just show it. Just show. If I'm not committing a crime, I don't need to show you anything. It's unless you're in a state where you have to identify. But most states, you don't have to identify unless you are being detained, being suspected of a crime, in the attempt of a crime, that kind of thing. They can't just ask for your ID. And as I said, you get those people, well, are you going to be difficult? Well, you're going to be difficult. It's being difficult just to know my rights, just to exercise my rights is being difficult. I hate those. I really cannot stand those people. It's like, you do realize the reason why they're acting like Gestapo, why they're acting like basically Nazis and everything. Where are your papers? The reason why they're doing that is people like you. You give them the power to do this stupid shit. We're trying to help you. We're literally trying to help you dumbasses because you don't need to identify unless you're committing a crime. Stop giving them the power that they think they have just because they have a damn badge.
So you got a ladder in the back working somewhere? You got a driver's license on you just so I can identify you?
You hear that? Do you have a driver's license on you so I can identify you? No. Now, again, you dumbasses, well, he's not doing anything wrong. He's literally there for a legitimate reason. Why not just identify? It's still, again, you guys are the problem by allowing the police to do this, because you just identify, oh yeah, okay, officer. You do know that you just violated your own rights. You allowed them to do that. Stupid. Really stupid.
Well, I like to identify, you just know who I'm dealing with, make sure. Well, if I'm making contact with you for a reasonable suspicion call like I am right now. Suspicion?
Don't you love the wordage that they use? They're trained to do this dumb shit, by the way. Well, I got to identify you because, I got a call and I'm out here now. So, and you're a suspicious character. So now I need to identify you. Yeah, I love the wordage, officer, but that doesn't mean you get the right to do that. You can ask, and I have the right to deny, because what crime have you suspected me of committing? Well, no, it's just, it never fails. I've got plenty of videos in my folder based on this shit. So we're going to try and get through them all, because even though I created this folder of today's topic, where it was supposed to literally be just a couple of videos that I already organized to do it, it's already full. It's like 20 videos in here. Oh man, I need to. Anyway.
Like many states, Oklahoma has no laws which require a citizen to produce identification in the
Neither does Texas.
Absence of reasonable suspicion. I have discussed the topic of reasonable suspicion in many of my other videos, and I will link one of them in the info card above if you are interested in learning more about that subject. One important aspect of reasonable suspicion is that it requires a substantive standard of facts that compound upon one another to form a reasonable degree of suspicion. Simply witnessing something that may appear out of the ordinary is not enough to meet the level of suspicion required to detain and identify a citizen. It is also important to note that no 911 call was made to the Blanchard PD. Officer Haynes was flagged down by a passing motorist who drew his attention to Mr. Grants. Although it is impossible to know what exactly the motorist told Officer Haynes, it is clear that his only motivation for contacting Mr. Grants is that he was not from the area.
Okay. Well, sir, here's the dog's called on you, okay? For a suspicious vehicle, you said yourself you don't live over here to have a purpose. What's your purpose? Is the purpose legal or illegal?
Wow. Is your purpose legal or illegal? Just,
Okay. So for determining, I need to see your ID.
No, you don't.
Well, it helps let you know who I'm dealing with. Let you know who I'm dealing with.
My name doesn't tell you whether I'm.
Tell me, like, if I don't know if you belong over here. You said you don't, so.
That's none of your business. It's like, again, you people that allow police to have these powers, y'all really need to stop this shit.
I don't know if someone over here's going to beat the doors up against you if you got your ID.
Did I say I didn't belong over here?
You said you had a purpose.
I don't live over here.
Okay.
I do belong.
Okay. All right.
So that's as far as I'm going to take it.
You have a date of birth then, because I have to run it with a name and date of birth.
I've got an answer that question.
So
you do not have again, cops are allowed to outright lie. I'm sorry, I already answered your question. I'm not going to keep talking to you unless you plan on detaining me. If that's, and I would have already asked for your badge number and your name because you approached me and you have to identify because you're on duty. I'm a private citizen. I don't need to identify shit to you. And if you would have kept talking, I need to see your supervisor. That's it.
you're telling me how I should do my job, yet you're not allowing me to do my job. And I understand that, like I said, but I'm doing my job.
You're not doing your job. You are not doing your job, harassing a citizen that you have no reason to suspect them other than suspicion. Suspicion is not a crime.
Conducting an investigation.
I'm sitting here in front of the house, which is perfectly legal.
Yes.
Well, you're not completely on the roadway there, sir.
You understand that by not identifying yourself appropriately as requested by the officer is illegal.
It's obstruction.
That is an actual lie. Not identifying yourself as instructed by an officer is illegal. That is an outright lie. Obstruction. As I said, these officers do not like when you know the law. They don't. And it's funny because they took an oath to uphold the law. So why are you going to get mad for citizens who know the law?
21-1835 states that whoever shall willfully or maliciously enter the garden, yard, pasture, or field of another after being expressly forbidden to do so, or without permission by the owner or lawful occupant thereof when such property is posted, shall be deemed guilty of trespass. The code goes on to state that the word posted refers to signage clearly stating that trespassing is forbidden on the property, and that the signs must be placed conspicuously and at all places where entry to the property is normally expected, whether or not the property is fenced. There were no signs present at the home Mr. Grants was parked outside of, and he did have the permission of the owner to enter the property. Officer Haynes' assertion that Mr. Grants was trespassing by parking his vehicle on the outskirts of the property simply does not correlate with the language of Statute 21-1835.
Again, they know they're lying. They know they are.
Officer Haynes continues to accuse Mr. Grants of trespassing. Captain Buloni makes a few questionable remarks.
That's your suspicion. Shut up. Somebody has called in. I'll tell you what I want to tell you. And you are also required by law, upon request from law enforcement, to ID yourself.
As Captain Buloni continues to question Mr. Grants, Officer Haynes returns to his patrol vehicle and calls Assistant District Attorney Travis White.
Hey, Travis.
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing. Sorry to bother you. I got a random question for you, though.
Well, technically, there's no obligation for him to identify himself. I mean, unless you've got reasonable suspicion that he's committing a crime.
Well, the thing is I have no reasonable suspicion to believe that he's not committing a crime because he has a ladder in the back of the truck and he's in front of how.
The lawyer just said you need to have reasonable suspicion of him committing a crime. Well, I don't have reasonable suspicion, but he's got a ladder in the truck.
Also, is that our occupied right now?
Yeah, there's no compelled ID statute in Oklahoma. I haven't seen.
There's no ID statute in Oklahoma. The lawyer's literally telling the cop, you have no reason to be bothering the citizen right now.
I mean, do you have anything else that suggests that he might be involved in something illicit?
Well, I'm curious why a man from Oklahoma City is parked on a dead-end road in Bland.
Your curiosity does not give you authority. Again, I can't stand cops that do this shit.
True. And, he has no. I asked him if he lives here, and he says, I don't answer questions.
Yeah, man, I don't think you got anything to compel him to give you his identification.
Lawyer just said you have nothing on this citizen to get his identification. Nothing. He's literally telling the officer, leave the citizen alone.
Okay.
I know that's not what you want.
No, that's why I called you instead of just ripping him out of his truck. He asked if he was free to leave, and I said, no, at this time, I have my emergency equipment activated, and I'm trying to investigate.
Well, if you're going to drive away, absolutely, but they can not be or you're driving and operating a motor vehicle. But you're not a traffic violation.
Well, I follow him out of town until I get one.
This statement highlights Officer Haynes'
I could follow him out of town until I get a reason to pull him over for a traffic violation. Again, these are the type of cops that I have a problem with. This is the reason why I make these videos is because this shit.
willingness to violate Mr. Grant's civil liberties in an effort to force Mr. Grants to reveal his identity. Officer Haynes is essentially admitting to planning to execute a pretextual stop. But what is more troubling is that it would be completely legal for Officer Haynes to do so. In the 1996 Supreme Court case of Wren versus United States, the court held that so long as an actual traffic violation occurred, an officer's pretextual intentions bared no relevance to the legality of the stop by stating, quote, "The temporary detention apprehension of a motorist upon probable cause to believe that he has violated the traffic laws does not violate the Fourth Amendment's prohibition against unreasonable seizures, even if a reasonable officer would not have stopped the motorist absent some additional law enforcement objective. The Wren ruling is highly controversial, and critics of the ruling argue that it incentivizes officers to conduct cursory traffic stops in hopes that the stop will produce evidence of more serious crimes, as well as paving the way for discriminatory enforcement of petty traffic infractions. Nonetheless, the high courts have yet to offer a solution for the potential problems created by the Wren ruling, and Officer Haynes would be within his authority to stop Mr. Grants for any minor traffic violation in order to obtain his identification. During the phone call between Officer Haynes and Mr. White, Blanchard Police Chief Stacy White arrives on the scene. Within 16 seconds of his arrival, Chief White concludes that the officers have enough evidence to arrest Mr. Grants.
Well, we don't want to identify ourselves completely. We have his name based on the tag.
Okay.
Who willfully delays or obstructs any public officer in the discharge or attempt to discharge any duty of his or her office is guilty of a misdemeanor. Chief White is attempting to use the ambiguous language of Statute 21-540 to circumvent the state's lack of a failure to identify statute. It is highly unlikely that Mr. Grants would be successfully prosecuted under Statute 21-540 because the officers lacked the reasonable suspicion necessary to detain him in the first place, which essentially negates any charges that would stem from that detention.
Okay, that's what.
Okay. Just to relay what you told me that.
Eventually, the officers left the scene without further incident. Mr. Grants filed a formal complaint against Chief White about 2 hours after the encounter began, and went on to file complaints against City Attorney David Perryman, City Manager Robert.
Yep, everyone involved. Everyone involved. The lawyer that was on the phone call who literally told them, leave him alone. But because they didn't, he's filed in the complaint also.
Lloyd and Assistant District Attorney Rebecca Brink for failing to file charges against the officers who detained him and for failing to fulfill his public records requests. After Mr. Grants posted the video of his encounter, the Blanchard Police Department deleted their Facebook page due to the messages and comments they received.
This is the corruption I cannot stand. This is the corruption. Anyway.
Grants went on to file a lawsuit against the officers, which resulted in a settlement for an undisclosed.
I posted both links, but this one's already getting to about 30 minutes. So I'll go ahead and stop this one, and I'll go ahead and make the next one from Lackluster. As I said, I'm trying to keep these as short as possible. I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to get to it myself and get it in here at least in the next 15 minutes. But I find it extremely, he won. He sued. Just for that. They didn't arrest him. They just harassed him, threatened him, intimidation, terrorizing. And they got sued. And he won. Undisclosed amount, but he won. Y'all need to understand. Y'all have your rights. You need to stand up for your damn rights. So let's see if I can get into this next one as quickly as possible.
Sorry, I don't.
You have no ID with you.
No, I'm not in my truck.
But I can seize your phone right now.
It's a live stream. It's a live stream, so there's no evidence on the phone.
Right in it.
No, it's protected.
Do you understand what I just said to you?
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. This is Matthew Rankin, owner of the HBO Matt YouTube channel. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to check him out and let him know that I sent you. Just after midnight on January 16th, 2019, Matt was recording at a traffic stop from about 200 feet away. After recording the incident for almost 17 minutes, Officer Wayne Casey of the Peverly Police Department got into his patrol vehicle and drove over to Matt and made contact.
Hey, Arnold's pulling up. We got the stuff right there. I'm going to go over there and have a talk with right here.
And this was the officer's body cam. This is the officer's body cam here. And the citizen's video up at the top. Just wanted to point that out.
Once the backup is leaving, they're coming to me. How's it going?
no ID with you.
No, I'm not my truck. Plus, it's not a stop and ID state. I'm not.
No, it is. Do you realize you are in Missouri? It is now illegal to record the police officer. I can seize your phone right now.
Officer, I swear to God, what is with police officers? I understand they're allowed to lie, but this is terrorism, is what they're doing. You are literally it's not just a lie. You're committing terrorism. This is ridiculous with the shit that officers get away with, which I'm glad in this video he didn't. The officer was fired and the guy filming got $75,000. I don't understand. He's over 200 feet away and he's recording. So what? Just do your fucking job. He's not even 50 feet away. He's 200 feet away and you go harass him.
That's evidence. That's fine. Let me see your phone. Go ahead and end it. End it right now. Or I will place you under arrest. Listen, do you understand what I just said to you? Stop it right now. Stop it right now.
Officer Casey claims that Missouri is a stop and ID state and demands Matt's identification. However, the Fourth Amendment requires police officers to possess sufficient reasonable suspicion or probable cause before seizing the property of a criminal suspect. But Matt was not suspected of any illegal activities, and Officer Casey negligently...
He's literally saying, I want your ID and I'm going to seize your phone because you're recording. There's no law for that. There's no law. We're allowed to record. So
ordered Matt to give him his ID, and thereafter seized his ID without a warrant or any lawful basis. We'll get back to that later. The officer also claims that it is illegal to film police officers in the state of Missouri. If you're familiar with the Patusize channel, you are probably aware that he was the man behind the 2017 decision of the United States Court of Appeal for the Fifth Circuit, Turner versus Driver, which thoroughly established and shored up a First Amendment right to record the police. Furthermore, the First Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in the case Glick v. Kniff that the right to film is not without limitations, and that it may be subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. In this case, Glick was 10 feet away from officers while recording, and that fact has often been used as a precedent for reasonable distance to film a police encounter. Now that we have established Matt's right to film and to deny identifying himself, it becomes questionable if what happens next is retaliation.
Do you understand? Listen to me. Listen to me. Stop. Stop. Right now. Do you understand me?
Listen. It's a live stream. There's no evidence on the phone. You just turned it off, so there's nothing recording that.
It is illegal in the state of Missouri to film them.
No, it isn't.
No. Bull. I'm going to seize your phone as evidence.
Suggest you don't do that.
Oh, I don't care what you suggest. You're being recorded right here.
Okay.
Let me see your ID.
You've lost your qualified opinion.
Let me see your ID. Do you understand what I just asked you? Let me see your ID. You're interfering with my traffic stop. Let me see your ID.
I'm on the other side of the street.
It doesn't matter. You're taking my attention away from my traffic stop because now I have to watch over here to see what you're doing to make sure you're not going to harm me. Therefore, you're interfering with my stop because I am now taking my attention away from my traffic stop. Do you understand what I just said? Give me your ID. Listen, I don't want your explanation. I don't want your explanation. You understand that?
Oh, I understand.
Okay then. Great.
And you're going to be sued.
Stand right here in front of my patrol car.
You're going to be sued. It's like, this is just stupid.
Take my attention off of this stop to watch you.
Freaking Gestapo, freaking cops. I mean, it's just...
You. Here, bud. Have a good night.
Matt eventually went on to sue Officer Casey and the city of Pevely for violation of civil rights under 42 U.S. Code subsection 1983. unlawfully preventing the recording of a traffic stop and police officers, 3 counts of retaliation for protected conduct,
Yep.
unlawful seizure of a phone,
Yep.
unlawful seizure of ID, unlawful detainment, and against the municipality for unlawful policy and failure to train and supervise. The lawsuit was settled for $75,000. Officer Casey was fired from the department before
Good.
Matt could file a complaint. However, his termination was for a separate incident. He was seen on video sitting at a desk in the booking area as Officer Robert Ryan Watson shoved and choked the prisoner. Casey allegedly covered for the other officer, who eventually pled guilty to a misdemeanor.
Again, the whole thin blue line bullshit. This is. Jeez. I've got brothers being a vet. I've got brothers being a former gang member. I've got brothers, I've got people who I consider family as far as brotherhood and everything else. I'm sorry, but being an actual police officer, you are supposed to uphold the law, serve and protect. And here you are harassing a private citizen because you don't like police being filmed. As I keep saying, I have no problem with police. I have a problem with bad police. But you can look, the rest of it on Lackluster's channel. Officer fired for $75,000 lawsuit. The first one was Audit the Audit. I'm going to go ahead and finish this video here. Actually got in pretty good time. I like that. But I'll go ahead and I will start. I have no idea what I'm going to do next as far as the next
Civil rights offense
video, but we will see. We'll see which one I come up with next. All right, going into the next video. Peace. Jeez.